Hello there, this is Benny.
And this is Kyle.
And you are listening to The Doctor's Watcher.
The Doctor Who podcast for fans of those places where you pay to get to smash a bunch of shit like old electronic equipment and whatever. I think they're usually called like rage rooms or something.
I've seen trailers for that. I've never done one though.
Seems like it could be pretty fun. I've never actually been to one.
I like the part where you can wear like a kigurumi in some of them.
Nice.
And smash things. I don't know, somehow that just
fun.
seems even more therapeutic. More satisfying.
I feel like there must be one like within a few hours of us probably.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like San Francisco's got to have something, if not closer.
That could be fun. Maybe we'll do that like after we go to the cave.
Road trip. Well, cool. All right, this is the second episode that we record in a row, so I already know some of what you've been up to, but you did mention that since you're currently, like, taking a quick break between jobs after having left your last one and before you start your next one, and your partner is out of town, she's eclipse viewing. I don't know if we mentioned that in the last one, but she went on a road trip to see the eclipse. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
So what else have you been up to?
I have been reading a pretty interesting book.
Cool.
That I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through at the moment, which is The Three-Body Problem.
Oh, I see that that's a Netflix show now.
That's what I hear, yeah. I don't know if or when I'll get around to watching it, but I'm really enjoying the book so far.
Cool. It looked kind of mind-bending. I can imagine it would be something you'd enjoy. I've never read or watched it yet, I should say, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, I had definitely heard a lot of things about it that made it sound pretty good. I don't want to give like too many spoilers or anything, but it takes place in China. It was actually written by a Chinese author and then translated to English. Mm-hmm. It starts like during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, which was pretty interesting. And as such, the start of the book is kind of brutal, but then it skips to like the 2010s or whatever. And it's a fun sci-fi that has like sort of mystery elements. And there's kind of this weird video game that often whenever I read about video games and novels, I wonder if the author has ever actually played a video game. This is not an exception to that, but it's still fun and interesting.
Nice.
You know, the game's like very allegorical and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Very cool.
There are mysteries happening in the book that are kind of just starting to be revealed at the point where I'm at, so I won't say too much about them. But
oh, very cool, very cool. I too have been reading, and in fact I'm reading one that you might be interested in. It's a nonfiction book that listener Danny actually recommended to me called Born to be Hanged. It's about a group of buccaneers in the 1680s who learn that the east coast of like the New World, like Panama in this case, is well defended because that's where all the buccaneers are, because they're all in like, you know, the Caribbean and stuff, of course. But the West Coast is not. So they hatch a daring plan to basically go through the jungle with the help of some natives who hate the Spanish because the Spanish have basically been killing and enslaving them, which is a pretty good reason to hate somebody. And so they're going to make it through the jungle and attack the Spanish gold, like, gathering stronghold to make a bunch of money.
Nice.
So it's based on the actual like accounts and journals and memoirs of some of the people who took part. So, you know, some of it we have to kind of take on faith.
Sure.
Might be a little exaggerated here and there, but it's a cracking yarn. It's very interesting.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds interesting. And the themes and topics do seem like they'd be right up my alley.
Yeah. I know you like yourself a good pirate, and it's chock full of pirates.
Nice.
But I mean, all at the same time, I have to throw out a little content warning, which is that these are real life pirates, and they are not always the best people. In fact, they are sometimes incredibly shitty people. So
also
keep
true.
that in mind.
Uh-huh.
A little bit less fun than the ones that you might have seen in films produced by Disney. And another thing I've been doing that I wanted to mention is I've been writing some fan fiction. So I've been writing a story that is a Star Trek Doctor Who crossover featuring the first Doctor. So by the time this episode comes out, that should hopefully have been finished and posted. It's quite a short story. At the moment, I'm not done writing it, but surely by the time this comes out, it'll actually be posted. So please check it out on AO3, the archive of our own. My username on there is Baron Von Chop, which it is on most social media. The working title, and we'll see if I stick with it, is Time and Relative Dimensions in Space: The Final Frontier. So
nice. I like it.
I like it too. I think I'll probably use it, but I haven't actually done a search yet to see if someone else has already beaten me to it. So if there's another story with that title, then I might have to come up with a new one, or maybe I'll just go ahead and stick with it, and we can have 1, 2, 3, who knows how many stories with that title. It doesn't seem that original, so I'm sure somebody else has done it before. But speaking of original titles, we've had several. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that if it is published, if it's finished by the time this episode comes out, then it should be in the show notes.
Oh, much appreciated. Cool. Well, speaking of recycling titles, let's find out about The Savages or the Less Technological People, episode 4.
Indeed. So this is the 41st episode of season 3.
There are so many episodes in these early seasons of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think season 3 is actually the longest season we've had so far. It just barely beats out season 1.
I do think it's interesting when you see the number of episodes that each Doctor is in, and then contrast that to, and I've also seen the number of hours that each Doctor, hours of content that each Doctor is in, because even though there are a ton of episodes, they are quite short. And in modern Who, you got normal prestige length or modern lengths of episodes, but much shorter seasons. So,
right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, so Kyle, as we sit in silence, I'm like, wait, what comes next? Kyle, won't you tell us? Season 3, episode 41, The Less Technological People, episode 4. How'd you watch it?
Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you in this episode and reveal that it was once again a reconstruction.
Yeah, you said something earlier that made it sound like there was at least a possibility that one of these might still exist, but I don't know, maybe you just didn't want to reveal any spoilers. In any case, thank you once again, Loose Cannon. Yeah, we live in hope. And maybe out there somewhere somebody still has a copy, and maybe when, like Loose Cannon, who returns to episodes to make them better, maybe someday the Doctor's Watcher, maybe when we're all caught up, maybe this show will also return. Maybe our kids will return and redo these, and maybe by then this will exist. But I also know that the longer we wait to recover these episodes, the less likely it becomes that they'll ever be recovered. So if you're one of those people who's holding on to these episodes and for whatever reason has not turned them into the BBC yet, maybe go ahead and digitize them on your own. Even if you're worried about getting in trouble for keeping them or something. If you're a former BBC employee who kept it, maybe go ahead.
Yeah, those tapes are going to degrade.
Yeah.
Well, do you recall our cliffhanger?
So, poor Dodo and Steven are getting gassed, and that they've been closed in, doored in. The corridor door came in and has cut off their means of escape. And meanwhile, the doctor is no help at all. Even less so than at other times. He's been drained and he is just completely out of it.
So the guards are urging Dodo and Steven to drop their light guns. Dodo goes ahead and does this, and she urges Steven to also do it, but he doesn't.
Oh, man.
Much to the delight of Jano, who's watching this on a view screen.
Sometimes guns don't solve all problems there, Steven. In fact, many times they do not. Jano
reaches for the control panel, and then the door to the outside behind Steven and Dodo opens.
I'm guessing that won't actually be a way of escaping.
Dodo actually does manage to get the doctor outside. She kind of just walks him out, while Steven provides covering fire with his light gun and then gets outside himself.
Okay. I wonder. Yeah. Jano's got something planned here.
Edel the guard goes and accuses Jano of helping them escape.
Oh, is this Dr. Jano? Is this Janoctor? That makes it sound like it's a ship, but it's actually one person. It's Dr. Exclamation point Jano.
So Edel accuses him, but Jano's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would I help our enemies? Jano is about to, starts making a snide comment about who he is, but then he kind of pauses and can't seem to think of who he is.
Don't you know who I am? Wait, who am I?
Wait, do you know who I am?
So Kyle, you mentioned you've been playing a lot of Disco Elysium, right?
And then Jano's tone of voice changes, and he orders Edel to get back to work and instruct B Patrol to get ready to search for the strangers.
I think the doctor's influence may be waning.
Steven and Dodo, who are still kind of walking the doctor between them, meet up with Chal, who reassures them that the doctor will recover, but it's going to take time. Chal and Dodo take the doctor back to the cave area, while Steven...
Caves.
Steven decides to try to delay the guards from finding them or whatever.
I feel like Steven just is really into this light gun. He's like, this thing is so cool. Check this out.
I think that's basically it. Yeah, he just wants more opportunities to use the light gun.
See that guy over there? That less technological person? There's some random person like, who, me? Watch this, I'm going to tractor beam him. And the guy's like, wait a second, what?
Jano says that the strangers either would have gone back to their spaceship or to the Valley of Caves. So Edel decides to send 2 guards to watch over the TARDIS, while he and Jano go together to the valley.
The writers knew where they were.
We get an extended sequence that I imagine is probably a lot more interesting and exciting in the original than the reconstruction.
I'm so sorry.
It's basically Steven successfully distracting Edel by, shooting at him and hiding from him and, that sort of thing.
At least you get some interesting pew-pew noises. All right. That's some consolation.
He distracts him long enough that Dodo and Chow are able to get the doctor to the caves.
Caves.
In the caves, the less technological people still have Exorce the guard tied up as their prisoner.
And Tor is like, over there getting closer and closer. He's like, yeah, tie him up tight. Steven's like,
And Nanina has still been like continuing to check up on Exorce and like give him water and like, change his bandages and whatever.
Yeah, I remember that shit from last time.
Nenexorce.
Nenexorce.
But Tor, of course, still wants to kill him.
This guy.
And Nanina's like, dude, Chell's the leader, and he said not to hurt the prisoner. And Tor's like, Chell's not here. But Nanina grabs a spear and's like, yeah, but I fucking am.
Hell yeah. Person of action.
They don't actually fight. They're, kind of about to start fighting, but then they hear Chell's voice. And Nanina finds him outside the cave, and he basically tells her to go help the doctor. Steven takes a chance to leave his cover and basically rush for the caves. He's dodging Edel's shots.
We'll just have to assume this was thrilling.
I guess in the course of dodging Edel's shots, he ends up like right in Jano's clear line of fire.
Uh-oh.
And Jano lifts his light gun, sights Steven and is about to fire, but then he just lowers his light gun and Steven makes it to the caves.
Thank you, Dr. exclamation points, Jano. I wonder if they're going to have to like suck the doctor energy out of Jano to put it back in the doctor to revive him.
Yeah, sucking Jano back off. Sucking the doctor off of Jano.
We're going to have to run that one by the BBC.
Steven basically guards the cave entrance as Nanina gets the doctor inside. And Steven is about to take a shot at Jano with his light gun, but the doctor wakes up enough to knock Steven's light gun aside and tell him not to harm Jano.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad that his deeply seated pacifism is the first thing that comes out. Although you think that being around all these cave people might have him looking at some rocks lying around, but he's grown. This clearly shows how far he's come in the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, he's not thinking about smashing anybody's head in.
Wow, that's growth.
It seems like he's basically fully awake now.
You all right, Doctor?
Yes, I think so, my dear. I must have fallen into some kind of a coma. As though all my powers are being sapped.
That's because they were, Doctor.
He's like, yeah, it was kind of like they were sucking me off of my body.
And Steven like covers Dodo's ears.
Dodo wants to get back to the TARDIS to GTFO, but the doctor says that they need to liberate these oppressed people first.
Excellent. We're fans of liberating oppressed people.
Steven's like,
Well, you're never going to convince the elders that Chell and his people should be treated like human beings.
and the doctor's like, yeah, duh, of course not. That's why I'm going to fuck the Transference laboratory up instead.
Excellent.
And I think we might have just the inside man to help us.
And they all start putting on kigurumi and grabbing sledgehammers.
Outside the caves, Jano sends Edal back to the city. Edal doesn't want to leave Jano alone here at the caves, but Jano orders him to do it, and also tells him to tell everybody that Jano will be back later with the strangers as prisoners.
All right.
Idal's just like,
Obey under protest.
Oh, get over it.
and yeah, he heads on back to the lab. Senta is like, dude, what the fuck? You shouldn't have left Jano. And Idal's just like, IDK, dude, he was acting all weird.
Oh, that's true. He's not acting like himself lately.
The Council of Elders shows up, and Senta asks Idal if he dares to repeat what he said, and Idal tells the Elders that he thinks that they're about to be betrayed.
Well, I think our inside man may not be as useful as the doctor had hoped. Though it's interesting that the doctor seems to be aware that his mind or volition or something are within Jano.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Doctor's Watcher. If you enjoy our show, please leave us a 5-star review and tell a friend. We appreciate you, listener. You can reach us by tweeting at Dr. Watcher or emailing thedoctorswatcher@gmail.com. And now, back to the episode.
Jano shows up inside the cave, and everyone's getting all geared up to be alarmed, but the doctor reassures everyone that Jano comes as a friend.
And then he and Jano start making out, and he's like, I've always wanted to do this.
Jano actually seems a bit confused, and he asks the doctor how he knew that Jano came as a friend. And the doctor says that it's because he knew that Jano would do the in-transference himself because he's not the type of person to put others at risk.
Well, if we're accepting that story, but okay.
Jano's basically just like, yeah, so what the fuck happened to me? And the doctor explains that Jano got the doctor's intellect.
And along with it you received a little conscience,
Well, having the doctor inside you is a life-changing experience.
Yeah, that's true. Just ask architecture.
Oh, yep. Doctor's first love, always.
Jano explains that he has realized how fucked up their civilization is, and he wants to stop it.
Yes, good.
Meanwhile, Exorce, who is still tied up as a prisoner in the cave, is actually not still tied up because he somehow managed to free himself, and so he runs away.
Oh, well, hopefully he's even though he's no longer in the cave, maybe he feels like he left something behind.
Steven tries shooting him with a light gun, but that fails. I don't know if he misses or what. But
sorry, loose cannon did their best.
And then Nina gets up and runs after Exorce. She catches up with him.
Oh, nice.
And she tries to talk him out of betraying Jano, but he just leaves.
Well, hopefully he'll at least think it over.
Back in the city, Senta and Idal are talking about how Jano seems to have absorbed dangerous ideas from the doctor in the in-transference.
Man, you always know you work for a, totalitarian government if you're worried about dangerous ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Idal says that Jano can no longer be trusted. So he declares an emergency and takes command himself.
I had a feeling. Somehow these guys who declare emergencies aren't like, so-and-so can no longer rule, so I'm going to declare an emergency and nominate you to be in charge. Nope, it's always themselves.
And, Edel, captain of the guard, how often is it military who does this?
Yeah, that's the thing.
This is kind of just a straight, your classic military coup.
Yeah.
Exors arrives, and Edel starts questioning him, but Exors says that he didn't see Jano in the caves.
Interesting. So when Nanina was pleading with him, he didn't seem to give any indication of what he planned to do, but now I think we're starting to get at least some inkling of what's on his mind.
Edel, of course, thinks it's very strange that he didn't see Jano.
Yeah.
Because, Edel left Jano there.
Mm-hmm.
He starts talking about sending Exors to the interrogators.
Oh, of course they have interrogators.
But then Jano shows up with what seemed to be a bunch of prisoners being controlled by a light gun.
Excellent.
These seeming prisoners, of course, being our heroes and characters, a few less technological NPCs.
Is Nanina among them?
Yeah, Nanina is there. Jano gets his quote-unquote prisoners all into the room and has the doors closed, and then he starts explaining about how what they've all been doing as a civilization is wrong and evil.
Excellent. Maybe y'all should listen.
Senta is like, nah, dude, it's fine. They're not our equals. They're only good for energy.
These guys.
And Jano's like, actually, they are our equals.
Yeah.
And you should destroy this lab equipment.
Yeah.
Senta's like, fuck that. So Jano picks up a metal pipe and starts smashing shit.
Hell yeah.
The Doctor and Steven and Dodo and Nanina all join in on the smashing shit.
Excellent.
And Exors does too.
Oh, fantastic. Well, yeah. Hopefully he and Nanina make some meaningful eye contact. And maybe they're planning some additional smashing later.
Yeah, when he starts smashing shit, then a little message appears on his HUD that says, Nanina approves.
Excellent. Well done.
Edel tries to get them to stop and, tries arresting them or whatever, but they're just like, fuck that, dude. The shit is smashed.
That's right.
We just had...
smash it.
They're like, we just had a full minute of screen time of us smashing shit. Edel escalates, and Steven ends up shooting him with the light gun.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Steven is so trigger happy with that thing. It must make a very satisfying pew-pew sound.
Apparently, this time he had it on the unconscious setting.
Oh, well.
So, yeah.
Good to know that stun settings were around even before Star Trek.
Edel is taken out of commission. Jano and Chal start talking about how they might need a new leader who can unite the two groups of people.
Can you just do that, though?
Jano suggests, maybe somebody like the Doctor, but...
Nice. Okay.
Of course, the Doctor can't possibly do that.
Oh, good. Again, growth. I don't think first season Doctor would have turned that down.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chil's like, how about Steven, though?
Oh, interesting.
And Jano's like, yeah, Steven's cool.
He is pretty cool.
And the Doctor's like,
think of the challenge to be able to set up the people of these planets for a new life. You're quite ready for this task.
Yeah, what kind of training have you had that prepared you for leading an entire planet? Not only that, but one with a deeply unfair way of life that seems to be their primary energy source?
Right, yeah, which is now destroyed.
Yeah.
So, great that they can't, suck people off of their bodies anymore.
Yeah.
But also, they have no energy source now.
Well, Steven's like, if the problem is anyway, he's looking at Nanina and he's like, I think we can think of a new energy source, maybe recalibrate this technology.
Steven double checks with Chal and Jano that they're both okay with this. He also checks in with Tor, and Tor basically says that, he's cool with it too.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Tor. Man, I had a feeling he was going to be more of a problem.
Yeah, so Steven's just like,
Very well. I will stay.
Dang. Well, he's been a good companion, but
yeah.
Well, we'll see where this ends up.
Jano thanks the Doctor for his wisdom and for changing the planet.
Excellent.
And the Doctor's like,
Thank you, Jano, and if ever you need the benefit of my wisdom again, I trust and hope you will allow me to express myself with my own free will, rather than place me in an oven and try and cook it out of me.
I love it.
So the Doctor says his final goodbyes with Steven.
Oh.
Dodo would, but she's crying too much to basically say anything.
Aww.
And Steven heads off with Chal and Jano.
Dang.
Dodo asks if they'll ever see him again. And the Doctor says
they sure don't make them like that in Alabama. Did I get that right?
Pretty close. I don't remember the exact line, but the Doctor says,
Oh, who knows, my dear? In this strange complex of time and space, anything can happen.
Yeah, I like that. He's like, well, maybe in the novels or the comics or the audio productions.
The two of them head to the TARDIS, and it dematerializes, and the words, "Next week, the war machines," appear on screen.
Okay, so we still get some next week between serials, it seems.
Yeah, that seems to be the pattern so far. Is we don't get them anymore at the end or during the serial, but
yeah, and no Cliff Dangler whatsoever. We sometimes get them between serials, but not this time.
Yeah, not this time.
Well, cool. All right, so that was The Savages, or The Less Technological People. And Kyle, given that you value the time of our beloved listeners, would you recommend that they seek out the loose cannon reconstructions and watch this show as best they can?
I mean, don't oppress people is a good message.
Yes, we approve it.
It's pretty basic as a message.
Yes, that too.
It's also pretty strongly and heavy-handedly telegraphed throughout the serial.
Yeah, I remember we were saying even from the second episode, they were really like, the more technological people are the real savages here, or something like that.
This serial doesn't have any cool aliens. It just has people who look like humans.
Yeah.
And there's a fair amount of like capture and escape and capture and escape.
Well, that's pretty par for the course on Doctor Who.
Some slow pacing, also pretty par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it probably could have been like 3 episodes or 2 if they really tried. And, the fact that all 4 are missing doesn't help this serial.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, but it's not amazing. I'd say that if you're going to check out any of them, then probably the last 2 are the most interesting, because then you'll at least get to hear the Jano actor doing his William Hartnell impression.
Excellent. Always worthwhile. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, this was an interesting one to listen to. I feel like at least I agree that it probably could have been shorter, but they didn't drag it out even more. So
it was not 12 episodes. So
yeah, but yeah, I feel like it was solid. Maybe not the best, but at least entertaining. Kept me engaged.
Yeah.
Cool. So what notes did you have for us?
I rewatched the Peter Purves intro to the Loose Cannon production.
The one full of spoilers. I assume he talks about leaving the show.
Yeah, he basically talks about how little he remembers of the serial other than the fact that he leaves in it.
And that the actress who plays Nanina was apparently easy on the eyes.
Right, good legs or whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, his leaving the show was an Innes Lloyd decision.
Oh, bummer. That means it wasn't his decision.
And I was written out. Innes Lloyd, in his great wisdom, he'd done one great change, of course. He decided that the individual episodes would be numbered instead of having titles. I mean, what an innovation that was. My God, he probably was promoted immediately following that.
Oh, shit. Wow, I may have to watch this interview.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I always enjoy it. I mean, I guess it helps that, decades have passed in the meantime, but I always enjoy it when actors are a little spicy about things like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, apparently back in those days, the BBC didn't really give people much notice when they were leaving shows.
Damn.
Maureen O'Brien, who played Vicky, learned that she was leaving by reading the script.
Oh, shit.
And, that happened while she was on vacation, basically.
Dang.
Peter Purves got told about 4 weeks in advance that his contract would not be renewed. And apparently William Hartnell was quite upset that they got rid of Stephen.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I understand, William Hartnell got pretty attached to the actors who played the companions. I remember you saying that he was really upset about Susan and then Ian and Barbara leaving too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I liked Stephen. I think he was a good companion. I do think that he was kind of a poor man's Ian at times, but I liked Ian. So.
Yeah. I do feel like there were definitely a few times, when I'm doing a notes watch or whatever, where I almost wrote Ian in my notes instead of Stephen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked him. I do wish that I had remembered to do bits about his Alabaman ancestor more often.
Well, they were gold every time, so maybe it's a good thing that we didn't wear it out.
Do you remember back at the end of The Celestial Toymaker when I mentioned that Peter Purves kept the Trilogic prop and that I'd have a follow-up to that later?
I do remember. Are we about to find out what happened to that prop?
We are. This is the time for the follow-up. It turns out that prop was cursed.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's basically what Peter Purves ended up deciding. After Innes Lloyd moved him along, he didn't get another job for about 1.5 years.
Dang.
And he decided during that time that it was because the Trilogic prop was cursed. So he got rid of it. He got rid of it and then got offered a new role the very next day.
Oh, wow. Maybe it was cursed. So, Kyle, you remember how I said that I'm working on a fic for including Doctor Who and also Star Trek, a little crossover? I was using Stephen and Dodo as the companions, so I feel like I'd better get it out quick and post it before this episode comes out so it can come out while we're still in the Stephen and Dodo era.
You'll have to find some break between serials that doesn't have a cliffhanger or a cliffdangler. And
I wasn't that specific with it.
yeah, I'm sure there's ways for it to fit into the canon.
They just show up. I mean, yeah, some technobabble thing happened that made the time streams overlap or something. I don't think I've quite figured out exactly how I'm going to describe it, but yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah, my final note is that this episode, the loose cannon reconstruction, it did have several bits where we got like 2 or 3 seconds of actual video.
Wow.
But I couldn't figure out like how or why those clips exist. I only researched it briefly, but I couldn't find it.
Maybe there's like a clips episode that comes later, like that includes flashbacks to this episode, and they were able to like trim those out and cram them in their actual locations.
It's kind of fun though, because you'll be seeing a static image like we do in loose cannon.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts moving and you're like, whoa, what's happening? And
wow, it feels so nice to see movement. Oh no, there's static images again. Oh.
It'll move for a few seconds and then like freeze on another static image.
Like, I remember how when the Celestial Toymaker is showing Steven like a clips episode of himself, and we were joking, what if these were the only clips that we had of those episodes? Maybe something like that actually does happen later on. Cool. So that was your final note for us, Kyle?
Indeed.
Well, in that case, should I launch into my little thing at the end, my spiel?
Let's do it.
We'd like to thank Circuit23 for the awesome theme music that he made for us. You can check him out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and if you want to contact him, he is circuit.23@gmail.com. Thank you, Kyle, for watching Doctor Who and telling me all about it.
And thank you, Benny, for listening to me talk all about Doctor Who.
And thank you, listeners, for listening to Kyle talk about Doctor Who. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you want to tell us your thoughts on the Savages, the less technological people. You can email us at thedoctorswatcher@gmail.com or send us a twoot. Well, I feel like it was so long ago that we had a fun, memorable term for that, but you can contact us on...
I think it was.
Yeah, the desiccated remains of a beloved social media app at Dr. Watcher.
Indeed.
And if you enjoy our show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. And tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to spread our show to new listeners.
And we all love spreading.
Maybe you know some cave enthusiasts and you're like, hey, I've got the podcast for you. Well, find out in 2 weeks. I don't know what Iron Man's best friend is up to. Well, come back in 2 weeks for some more machines. Bye.
Caves.
The man we need must inspire trust. His judgments must come from his heart, even more than his head.
There is the leader we want, Jano.
This is what I thought.
Just a minute. I couldn't! A great honor, dear boy.
Well, I can't walk out on you and
Do not think of the challenge to be able to set up the people of these planets for a new life. You're quite ready for this task.
You think I can do it?
Yes, I do. And you're the only man who can, my boy.
Does the offer come from both sides?
You would give us new hope. Our people will become great again. We will learn to live as equals without bitterness.
What about Thor? I should accept your decisions.
Very well. I will stay.